Welcome to this episode of Rewind, a closer look, where we're diving into the neon-soaked dystopian action of Cybertracker, a peak PM entertainment sci-fi banger from the early 90s direct-to-video era. This is the kind of movie that knows exactly what it is. Headlining the chaos is Don the Dragon Wilson.
Ladies and gentlemen, his professional record, 71 victories, 47 coming by way of knockout, with 5 defeats. He was entered into the 2002 Guinness Book of World Records for most world kickboxing titles at 11. The legendary martial artist of stage, screen, and ring, Don the Dragon Wilson.
One of the few action stars to come into movies with legitimate fight credentials. A multi-time world champion kickboxer, Wilson became an action staple throughout the 90s, standing out not with flashy stunt work but with fights that looked real. Cybertracker is pure Don Wilson energy, physical, straightforward, and never pretending to be anything it's not. The movie opens in a dystopian future where, outside a sketchy bar, a hologram proudly advertises that the place has everything. Heroin, crack, it's all legal. Classy place. Inside, a waiter politely asks a couple of guys to keep their drinks off the table, and they respond by shoving a gun in his face. The waiter wisely retreats. One guy tells the other to put the gun away because it's hot, as in he just used it to kill someone, and the second guy couldn't care less. A Hummer rolls up outside. The lights shut off. We get boots stepping onto the pavement, military boots. The legs walk into the bar, which honestly sounds like the setup to a bad joke.
A pair of legs walk into a bar. The bartender says, "What can I get you?" The legs say, "A glass of wine, something with a little body."
Inside, we go full POV mode with green-tinted Terminator-style vision scanning everyone in the room. The camera is framed so we don't see anything above the waist yet because dramatic reveal. The scan locks onto our two troublemakers with a clear threat detected. Cue the reveal. The legs belong to a cyborg cop. He raises his hand. A police badge literally materializes out of thin air, and he calmly lists their charges before sentencing them to immediate execution. Court adjourned. He opens fire, blasting one guy clear across the bar. Another random customer shoots at him and gets instantly deleted, along with several innocent people nearby. A waiter is taken hostage, and the robot solves the problem the only way it knows how, by instantly shooting the criminal in the head. Hostage safe. Situation over. The surviving criminal bolts outside, steals a car, and tries to escape. The tracker follows, casually grabs a launcher from his Hummer, and sentences the guy to death, effective immediately. He fires. The car explodes, crashes into another car, which also explodes. And that's when you remember, oh yeah, this is PM entertainment. One explosion would have been fine, but two, why? Explosions! We fade into a press conference outside a futuristic-looking skyscraper. The press is everywhere. Protesters are shouting, security forces are swarming the place, full chaos. A helicopter suddenly swoops in low, and one of the security agents turns toward the camera and says, "He's here." And yep, it's Don the Dragon Wilson. Fuck yeah! Coming again to save the motherfucking day, yeah! The helicopter lands and we learn what all the fuss is about. A news reporter explains that the protesters are furious over a new computerized judicial system controlled by Cybercore, which was adopted 8 months ago and basically replaced due process with instant robot justice. Senator Bob Dilley is the system's biggest supporter, and surprise, he's the guy stepping off the helicopter and speaking at the podium. As the senator talks, the movie quietly lets us know something bad is about to happen by cutting to a group of people loading weapons. Subtle. Don gets a call over the radio about a suspicious, unauthorized car in the parking garage. He wants to check it out, but his boss tells him not to leave his post. Naturally, Don ignores that advice immediately and heads down to investigate. He looks at the car, stares at it for a moment, declares a code yellow, and walks away. Incredible police work. Meanwhile, the armed group is gearing up in a bathroom. reassuring themselves that killing the senator won't stop the system, but it'll slow it down. They also say they've come too far to turn back now, which is wild considering they're literally still standing in a bathroom with duffel bags. You absolutely could still leave, but okay. Back at the podium, we learn Cybercore hasn't just been adopted, it's officially merged with the government. Cool. Totally normal future stuff. The assassination squad starts blending into the crowd, and Don spots them almost instantly because he's Don the Dragon Wilson, and this is his movie. He strides straight into the crowd, kicks a gun out of an assassin's hand mid-draw, struggles with him briefly, and then shoots him. Great squibs, very satisfying. Don's boss rushes the senator away, gunning down attackers as they go. A massive shootout breaks out. Don is mowing down bad guys while the senator and head guard escape toward the helicopter. The pilot is told to take off, not because they're leaving in it, but to fake everyone out. Smart move, because seconds later the helicopter explodes in a glorious fireball. The senator and his guard flee in a car through the parking garage, but a van immediately gives chase, opening fire as they burst onto the street. Don runs outside, commandeers a random car, parks it directly in the van's path, somehow beating them there, and opens fire. He hits the driver, ducks, and the van goes airborne, flipping over his car and exploding spectacularly. Once again, PM Entertainment delivers. Good thing Don parked right in front of that ramp, because that could have been dangerous. Up in the senator's office, he's already spinning the story for the press. According to him, the attack was carried out by a resistance group called the UHR, the Union for Human Rights. He publicly thanks Don Wilson for saving his life, laying it on nice and thick for the cameras. Off to the side, though, we see Don and the head of security quietly arguing. Their approaches couldn't be more different. Don's only been on the job a few months, while this guy's been there for 6 years, and you can practically watch his ego deflate in real time. He doesn't like Don. The senator walks over and praises Don again, right in front of him, before Don heads out. Subtle, very subtle. Once Don's gone, the senator and the head guard talk openly about him. The guard tries to downplay Don's skills, but the senator just keeps gushing. He even straight up asks the guy, "What's the matter? You worried he's going to take your job?" The head of security's name? Ross. So yes, Senator Bob and Ross, Bob Ross.
You ready to have some fun? Let's do it.
I will never not enjoy that. They shift into vague villain talk about how Don might be getting too close, too fast, too furious. To whatever shady operation they're running. They're not convinced Don would be on board if he knew the full picture. Ross assures the senator not to worry. If Don won't play ball, he'll handle it. And that's never ominous. Back at Don's apartment, he comes home to an empty place and is greeted by his AI assistant. First thing he does? Pour a drink. The AI politely reminds him that he drank last night and it only made him more depressed, which feels less like artificial intelligence and more like a very judgmental bartender. Don responds by tapping a few buttons and deliberately making the AI act drunk too, because if you're spiraling, you might as well drag your smart house down with you. He looks over at a framed photo of who is very clearly his dead wife, then tells the AI to recall a specific memory. We're treated to a replay of a classic cop movie argument. She's worried, can't handle the stress, doesn't like the danger, and Don fires back with the timeless classic, "You knew I was a cop, baby." They make up, say, "I love you," and Don rewinds that part again and again. After that emotional gut punch, Don takes an aggressively long shower, the universal sign of a man processing trauma. And finally goes to bed. Elsewhere that night, over at a Cybercore lab, a nervous scientist is working late on a computer when someone suddenly grabs her from behind, injects something into her neck, and she collapses. Clean, quiet, not great. Back at Don's apartment, the AI wakes him with an incoming call. It's the senator, and he wants Don down at his office immediately. No explanation, no small talk. Don agrees without hesitation, which, given everything that's about to happen, is probably his first mistake of the day. Senator Bob and Ross, yes, Bob Ross, and no, that will never stop being funny,
You ready to have some fun? Let's do it.
meet Don in a parking garage. The senator immediately launches into a long speech about loyalty and then pops open his trunk. Inside is the scientist we just watched get drugged and kidnapped. The senator claims she's part of the UHR. She very loudly says she is not. Bob pulls a gun. Don pulls a gun. Don points his directly at the senator. Every guard in the garage instantly points their weapons at Don, and Bob calmly tells him to relax. Then Bob shoots the scientist anyway. Don is understandably not on board with this plan, so he fights his way through the guards. While Don is busy throwing hands, Bob and Ross quietly get into a car together and peel out. Once Don finishes clearing the garage, he jumps into his car, a late 80s BMW 5 Series, which is hilarious in a dystopian future. And I'm convinced it's probably Don's real car in real life, and he just wanted to flex it on camera. Almost immediately, the senator calls the police and puts out an APB on Don for murder. He claims the body is in Don's apartment and that Don's fingerprints are on the gun. The police chief asks, his real fingerprints or copies? Bob replies, does it matter? And orders a tracker activated. The chief just sighs, which strongly suggests this is not the first time this exact scenario has played out. Don, meanwhile, pulls right up to the police station in his BMW because subtlety is overrated, walks inside and asks to see the chief. As he's waiting in the lobby, she's actively entering the APB, and Don watches his own wanted poster pop up on a screen in real time. Realizing he's been framed, Don makes a break for it. He doesn't get far before he starts throwing fists and feet, beating down a small army of cops before escaping back to his BMW. A car chase follows. Don blows through red lights, takes corners at speed, and several police cars collide in yet another glorious explosion.
Nice.
Don escapes. For now. Back at CyberCore, the senator and the police chief wake up a cyber tracker. Baldy's eyes snap open with a cool glowing effect, officially signaling that things are about to get much worse. Don is at a street-level coffee stall, grabbing a cup like a normal human being for once, when he spots a nearby payphone. Because this is the future, but also kind of the past, he punches in his personal access code to make a call. The moment he does, the cyber tracker is instantly notified of Don's exact location. Don, blissfully unaware, starts calling Washington, desperately trying to explain that he's been framed and that things have gone completely sideways. After a few seconds, it hits him. Oh no, he used that code. Don tries to hang up, but it's already too late. Baldy has him locked in. The tracker confronts Don, who actually tries pleading with it, appealing to reason, logic, maybe even basic human decency. None of that works. The tracker coldly sentences him to death. Now. Both of them open fire, and the scene instantly turns into total chaos. Bullets tear through the coffee stand, glass explodes, metal shatters, and the entire little kiosk is basically disassembled by gunfire. Don dives over a parked car and takes cover while the tracker absolutely unloads on the vehicle, riddling it with bullets like it personally offended him. During a brief pause while Baldy reloads, Don notices something very important. The car is leaking fuel. Don does what any action hero with genre awareness would do. He runs. The tracker casually walks over to inspect the car, and at this point we're all silently praying for another PM-grade car explosion. Don rolls back into position, fires a few shots, and the cops immediately roll in and start trying to arrest Don because of course they do. But surprise, the tracker wasn't actually killed in the blast. Baldy covers his damaged eye with his hand. and it starts glowing green and healing his face. Because why wouldn't that be a thing this movie can do now? Fully operational again, the tracker calmly shoots both cops without hesitation. But then, plot logic alert, it suddenly can't shoot Don anymore because it identifies him as a Secret Service agent. Sure, it could shoot him earlier. It can shoot cops right now. But this moment, nope. Don's suddenly off limits. Totally makes sense. Don hijacks a fire truck and speeds off, and somehow the tracker is on board too. It must be damaged because now it keeps glitching out and repeatedly announcing that it's Unit 5.
I am Unit 5.
Call me Johnny 5.
Don eventually bails. Leaping from the speeding fire truck, it continues on without him. It gets air, lands on its side, and slides along the pavement in a spectacular crash. And then, wait for it, yeah, it explodes.
That was awesome.
The tracker barely survives, twitching and glitching on the ground, until Don finally ends things the old-fashioned way. Several more shots directly to the head. Problem solved, or so it seems. Moments later, a car pulls up. A couple of people jump out and order Don to drop his gun. Before he can react, a woman sneaks up behind him and drugs him. Lights out, no questions asked. Back at CyberCorp, the president, the senator, and the police chief sit around a table discussing what to do about Don. What starts as a tactical conversation quickly turns into something much darker. The president launches into a full-blown monologue about power, specifically power over life and death. He rants about how the population are nothing more than insects, sheep beneath him, and that this is exactly why the cyber trackers are such a brilliant invention. They don't hesitate, they don't question, they can dispense with the sheep effortlessly. Throughout this entire speech, the president is casually choking his assistant, not angrily, just methodically, using her as a prop to reinforce his absolute lack of empathy. When he's finished making his point, he simply rips her face off, revealing that she's a robot. No emotion, no reaction.
What more could a god want?
He says, completely satisfied. Don wakes up sometime later in a locked room with a TV already playing. On screen, Ross is giving an interview, calmly telling a reporter that Don is a dangerous killer. Don isn't having any of it. He smashes through the door, storms into the hallway, grabs a guy, and demands to know where he is. The man panics and says he can't tell him anything until Griff gets there. Don moves into another room where a group of people are sitting around eating like this is a perfectly normal lunch break. He asks the same question again. Same answer. Nobody can say anything until Griff arrives. They do, however, confirm one important thing, their UHR. One of the members starts posturing with Don, and the whole thing turns into a macho pissing match. It ends in the most humiliating way possible when Don casually disarms the guy by ripping the slide right off his gun. That shuts everyone up real fast. Then Griff finally shows up, and of course it's the reporter from the TV. Somewhere along the way, it turns out Don's been shot in the leg. Griff brings in her doctor and has the bullet removed with zero freezing. While the doctor digs around in Don's leg like he's mining for gold, Don and Griff have a quiet heart-to-heart. She explains why she joined the UHR, what they're really about, and why she believes in it. Don barely reacts. He just takes the pain, listens, and proves once again that he's apparently made of concrete. Back at CyberCorp, the police chief activates another cyber tracker and, surprise, it looks exactly like the first one. A great cost-saving move. Why hire multiple actors when copy-paste exists? Of course, this only works as long as you never need 2 or 3 trackers on screen at the same time, which I'm guessing will never happen for that exact reason. The activation sequence itself is also recycled straight from the first tracker's intro. To be fair, it still looks kinda cool. Reuse what works. Meanwhile, back at the UHR hideout, Griff finally unleashes the plot dump. She tells Don that she never authorized the senator's killing. In fact, she had an inside source who was about to give her critical information, the very scientist Don was framed for murdering. That scientist had uncovered something called Operation Echo, But before she could send the files to Griff, she was silenced. Griff makes it clear she knows Dawn was set up. This wasn't some tragic misunderstanding, it was a clean-frame job. Now the plan is simple, at least on paper. The two of them are going to get that information. Since Don used to work at Cybercore, he can get Griff inside into the computer system where the Operation Echo files are stored. That's the idea, anyway.
Great plan.
Griff gives Don the ultimatum. He can either spend the rest of his life running from cyber trackers, police, and propaganda news segments, or he can help UHR expose Cybercore and take the whole thing down. The next tracker boots up and comes fully online. We watch it load, systems initializing, very ominous. Then it looks over at a wall-mounted monitor showing Don's photo and full target profile, which raises an obvious question. If this thing is a freshly activated robot that was literally just plugged in, why didn't that information download directly into its brain instead of being displayed on a screen for it to read? Whatever. The tracker absorbs the info, hops into its Hummer, and heads out to hunt Dawn. Back at Cybercore, the Senator, Police Chief, and Ross continue discussing Dawn. They're concerned, mostly because Dawn has already killed one tracker and those things are expensive. Ross casually suggests they just kill Dawn outright. The others push back, saying that would raise too many questions. They need this handled quietly, preferably with fewer destroyed million-dollar robots. Meanwhile, back at the UHR hideout, Don is left standing around with nothing to do, so he starts unintentionally eavesdropping on a woman talking to her daughter. When she notices him, Don just awkwardly walks away. He wanders into another room where a hacker enthusiastically launches into a massive tech jargon rant, explaining how cyber trackers are built and why they're supposedly perfect. It's a lot of words, none of which really matter. Eventually, a girl shows up and tells Don that Griff wants to see him. As they walk down the hallway, Don randomly asks the girl how old she is and why she isn't in school. Why are these seen here? To give us a slice of life inside the UHR hideout. See? They have kids. They're normal. They're good people. Is this what finally convinces Don to help them? Yes. Yes, it is. Don tells Griff he's in. Immediately after, one of the UHR members starts yelling at him and straight up punches him. They fight briefly. Don wins, obviously, and the guy storms off. Griff casually explains that Don shot the guy's brother at a press conference the other day, something she probably should have mentioned earlier. Don's reaction is basically, you don't say. As UHR starts prepping to leave for the mission, the tracker arrives.
Surprise, motherfucker!
It blows open the garage door and immediately kills a couple of members before heading upstairs. What follows is an extended shootout where the tracker just mows people down like it's on rails. Eventually, Don, Griff, and a few remaining members retreat back into the garage and then into a warehouse area with the tracker right behind them. They reach a massive door and almost manage to shut it in time, but the tracker stops it with its arm. It grabs Griff by the throat and starts choking her. Don shoots the tracker's arm clean off, literally disarming it.
That's just dumb.
With the arm gone, the door finally slams shut. Problem solved. Except now they're trapped. The only other exit is locked. The tracker smashes through the door anyway. It scans the room and instantly sees everyone hiding behind cover. It shoots a woman straight through her cover, which is interesting because earlier in the movie even flimsy furniture could stop bullets, but okay. The tracker continues firing nonstop while Don and the remaining UHR members return fire. This goes on for a long time. One by one, the UHR members are picked off, while the tracker barely reacts despite being shot repeatedly. Eventually, only Don and Griff are left. Don finally kicks open the locked exit and the two of them escape just as one dying UHR member shoots a propane tank, blowing the entire place sky high. Another fantastic explosion. Out of the fireball, we get an absolutely glorious firewalk. Don grabs a launcher from the tracker's Hummer and fires it at the still-burning tracker, sending it flying through the air, on fire. And yes, it rules. Don and Griff jump into the Hummer and drive off. Back at Cybercore, the senator is furious. Another tracker is dead. The police chief suggests sending in another one. She even says, hell, send 2 or 3, which we all know this movie absolutely cannot afford to do. Ross finally snaps and says it's time to stop messing around and just let him kill Don. This time, both the chief and the senator agree. Don and Griff finally reach Cybercore, but right at the doorstep, Griff starts getting cold feet. Everyone is dead. The UHR is gone. It's just the 2 of them now. She questions how they're supposed to pull this off when an entire organization already failed. Don gives her a quick heart-to-heart, telling her that all her dead friends would want them to keep going and finish what they started. Griff pauses, thinks about it, and immediately agrees. Crisis resolved. That did not take much convincing at all. The 2 of them sneak into Cybercore with surprising ease. They quietly move through concrete tunnels like this place was designed to be infiltrated, eventually reaching the central computer room. Griff starts accessing the system while Don keeps watch. Suddenly, they hear something. 2 guards. Don handles them quickly and efficiently. No alarms, no complications. Griff completes the file transfer and they slip right back out into the concrete tunnels. And honestly, that was way too easy for breaking into the most powerful tech corporation on the planet. They head back to Griff's house afterward because naturally no one would ever think to look there. Griff starts working on decrypting the copied file. As the data processes, the 2 of them talk, the tension softens, and they start leaning in, clearly about to kiss. And then the file finishes decrypting and completely kills the moment. As they begin reading what's inside, Ross suddenly steps out from behind them, gun drawn. Ross drags Don and Griff back to Cybercore, straight into a room with the senator, the president, and the police chief waiting for them. Ross proudly produces the disc, and the president immediately asks the most important question.
Did you make a second copy of Echo, and if so, where is it?
That's when things turn ugly. The president calmly orders Ross to torture Griff until Don talks. No hesitation, no debate. The senator quietly excuses himself, saying he still has some humanity left and can't watch this. Which, good for him, I guess. As Ross moves in on Griff, Don reacts instantly. He kicks his captor's gun straight up into the air. Griff headbutts Ross and all hell breaks loose. A massive fight erupts. Don starts wrecking everyone in the room, catches the gun on its way back down like an action hero who rehearsed this exact moment, shoots the guards, and he and Griff sprint out. They tear through the hallways, dropping a guard or 2 along the way, and end up in a lab. They hide just as Ross storms in. Ross calls Don out, challenging him directly. He sets his guns down, inviting a fair fight. Don steps out to face him. Boss battle initiated. The fight is long, brutal, and surprisingly even. Lots of back and forth. Trading blows like this is suddenly a martial arts movie. Mid-fight, the police chief shows up and starts trying to activate more cyber trackers. Griff sees what's happening and shoots her, shutting that down immediately. No more reinforcements. After more punching, kicking, and movie logic durability, Don finally ends the fight with one massive kick that puts Ross down for good. Just as Don and Griff are about to leave, a tracker shows up anyway. Guess the police chief managed to activate one before she got shot. Figures. Don squares off with the tracker, and this fight is on a whole different level. The tracker throws Don across the room and through a wall, conveniently into a weapons room, because of course there's a weapons room right there. Don grabs a gun and opens fire, but it does absolutely nothing. The tracker keeps coming. Don grabs something, some kind of explosive, grenade. It's not totally clear and takes off running. The tracker follows him and Griff chases after both of them. Don sprints back through the concrete tunnels, through the Cybercore lobby, and just as he's about to escape, he turns and throws the grenade. The tracker catches it, then immediately throws it back. Don barely has time to dive away before it explodes. And honestly, That was your entire plan? Why didn't you just try that first? Why the dramatic marathon run beforehand? But whatever, we're committed now. Outside, the tracker grabs Don and starts tossing him around like a rag doll. As it lifts him up again, Don arms another grenade and sticks it directly onto the tracker. He rolls away just in time as the tracker explodes in a final, satisfying blast. The next morning, the senator is holding yet another press conference, confidently addressing the public like none of the last 2 hours of chaos ever happened. Don shows up, casually knocks out a guard, swaps clothes, and blends right into the press crowd without anyone noticing a thing. Flawless disguise work. He steps forward, pulls out a gun, and shoots the senator point blank. And then comes the twist. The senator is a robot. Did not see that coming. Everyone stands there in shock. He's a robot? Wow. Okay, so we're just letting Don go now, right? He didn't assassinate a real senator, he only killed a robot. And somehow that robot was the only one in the entire system who had enough humanity left to refuse torturing Griff. Subtlety is not this movie's strong suit. With the revelation to the world that the senator was a robot, everything collapses instantly. The cyber tracker program is shut down, the cybercore government merger is abolished, and the entire dystopian infrastructure just kind of dissolves overnight. Problem solved. The movie ends with Don and Griff kissing, because of course it does. Don casually asks what happened to the president. Griff smiles and says she sent him one final gift. Cut to the president relaxing on a beach. A tracker walks up behind him. Roll credits. All jokes aside, this is a fantastic movie. Don Wilson is always great, and this one gives him exactly what he does best. Solid fight scenes, confident action hero energy, and a character who never backs down. The fights are plentiful, well-paced, and satisfyingly physical, and the movie absolutely delivers when it comes to explosions, especially the cars. Top-notch PM-style vehicle destruction from start to finish. The sci-fi elements are goofy but fun, the cyber trackers are ridiculous in a way that works, and even when the plot logic completely falls apart, the movie just keeps charging forward. We never actually learn what Operation Echo was, and honestly, that feels on brand at this point. And of course, it wouldn't be complete without saying it. PM entertainment does not disappoint. Big action, big explosions, big confidence, and absolutely no interest in subtlety. You know what you're getting, and that's a good thing. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you thought of the movie, or which PM action flick I should rewind next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.
Hold up. Hey.
Want to see something? Stephanie Austin was a close friend of mine. She got a hold of some of the cybertext data. Basically, these trackers.
Real badasses.
Right. But what's really spectacular is the circuitry. There's got to be over 1 billion individual microprocessors. And what's really mouthwatering is this polymorphonuclear substance.
You lost me.
Yes, I did. That's my point. The tissue content is some type of polymeric gel that acts as a protectant, yet offers complete flexibility. You could put your hand right inside it, but you couldn't actually puncture it. This fucking surpasses in millennious dimensions beyond any analytical, technical, or otherwise formulated systematical perceptions or deductions of any principles or methods of fucking science.
Right.